today we're going to take a look at a very, very simple document, and yet a lot of people don't know how to do it. This document is usually expected from production assistants, but maybe also a second AD or second. So this is called a background breakdown, and it's super easy to do. This is my template, but you can probably put one together in a few minutes. Or even if you're on set and you don't have one, you can do one with a pen and a piece of paper. So the background breakdown is used to keep track of all the background actors that have showed up that day. So you might have vouchers, you might have some other paperwork, and in a way, those are used to keep track of people. But this is kind of a way to get a snapshot at the day of shooting. So very simply, your show name, background breakdown, and the date of the shooting so that we all know what we're talking about. And then we're going to go straight to the table. Now, the first column is for the number of backgrounds that we're dealing with. So on the background breakdown, you want to regroup all the backgrounds that have the same hours and same rate. So we're going to make little packages. So for this example, I'm going to say that we're dealing with 100 background. And they all arrived at 7 a.m., but then they had different rates and they also left at different times. But we'll say out of this 100, maybe there's 10 of them who are stand-ins. Why not? Huge cast. And then there's another 20 of them were specialty background. Maybe they're like, girls in bikini, something like that, that would deserve a higher rate. And then finally, the 70 background remaining, right, let's say 20 of them have a car that they actually brought to set to be parked on the street or on the back lot, and the last 50 are just crowd, so it's just them. I'm just gonna randomly give them out times. Don't, think there's any reasoning there. So let's say the first 50, the ones without cars with just a basic rate, left the first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 50 in here. And then as far as the rate, let's say they're just making minimum wage, which I believe is $10.50 an hour now in California, so $85 a day. They're in at 7 a.m. and they're out at, let's say, 3 p.m. And we're going to say that they went to lunch on time, so no meal penalty. So I've covered that into the production report video, but here 0-0 means 0 meal penalty for lunch and 0 meal penalty for second meal. Now, if for some reason they were going to lunch late, we would give them 1 meal penalty or more if it applies. And as far as the bumps or notes go, these backgrounds are non-union, so they're probably entitled to almost nothing. Nothing special happened that day, so boom, here we go. We are just like that. Then I've got my 20, what did I say? Yeah, my 20 background will have a car. So these guys, let's say 15 of them, and they have the same rate, but we're gonna add in the notes they had a car, unless you're told that they have a different rate. Let's say actually I said 15, right? Yeah, 15 of them arrived at 7, and they're also added 15, no meal penalty, but here I'm going to say that they had, a car. It's not reimbursement. What's the word I'm looking for? It's compensation. Something like that that lets your accounting know that these people brought their cars to be parked, and they should already be aware of that. And then there are another 5 who also brought cars, except they were done at 4 p.m. Boom. So you see how it starts to come together. It's very much just regrouping people. And so when you look at the vouchers or at whatever paperwork they might sign, you're going to make stacks with that paperwork, looking at the in time first. So you make a first stack with everyone who was at 7 or everyone who was at 8, blah, blah, blah. Then you're going to make stacks with the same out time, so everyone was at 15 and 16, and then within those smaller stacks, you're going to see if there's any difference between people, if they have any bumps. Okay, so I've done 70 of my background, then I've got my 20 bikini girls. So let's say they are at, I don't know, 110, why not? And came in at 7 a.m. and they stayed until 16, but because we need them for a scene before lunch, they actually had a meal penalty. Why not? And here I'm going to say just, bikini girls, just so that we know why they have this rate. It's just a little help. Um, and finally, I've got my 10 stand-ins. So let's say that, I don't know, 8 of them, and they were making 130 a day, arrived at 7, and they left at 16, and no meal penalty. And I'm going to write here stand-ins, because that's important. Sometimes that means that down the road they're entitled to more bumps or something else. And then the last two, let's say we kept them for the very last scene of the day, and that went a little long. They left at 8 p.m. and so they're going to be entitled to one meal penalty for second meal. And again, I'm going to specify their stand-ins. Now, there's a bunch of other notes that you can put in there, mostly for union backgrounds. The rules for background are quite complicated, and there's a PDF about that you can get on the SAG website. So make sure that when someone is claiming a bonus, that it is something that can be attributed. The rule also is that if someone doesn't ask for a bonus, usually you just don't put it down. It's very unethical, but it's kind of the way it's been done in my experience. So I would say don't give out a bump to someone if they don't ask for it, because maybe someone will yell at you, and if you're a production assistant, you want to make everyone happy, so just watch out for yourself. But you could do something like, rain or smoke. These are the two big ones. Sometimes they also, let's say they provide, their own backpack if they're playing like 18 to look younger. And they'll provide a backpack or some other supplies like a bicycle, I don't know. And that entitle them to a little bump, and that will usually also appear on their voucher. But again, make sure that if you put that, it means that all these people are entitled to that bump. If it's just one person who brought a backpack, then you do one, you just divide that. It's going to be one here and one who doesn't have that note. So very important. And then, yeah, there's a bunch of other rules. One of the funny ones for a non-union background is that if they go into a swimming pool, they're under the water, but they are wearing a swimsuit, they're not entitled to the water bump because they're called to be for that role, so they just get the same rate. It's some funny stuff like that you wouldn't expect, but totally exist. And then, as you might have seen, I've omitted to mention anything about mileage. Again, it doesn't apply for everyone, mostly just union background or when you're working outside the zone. But if that's the case, you want to put down how many miles people are entitled to. So let's say you're 5 miles out of the zone, meaning 35 miles from the center. Then you're going to put 35, and that means that all these people are entitled to 35 miles. And actually, usually you would put the round trip, so it would be more like 70. So everyone is entitled to 70 miles worth of reimbursement on top of their rate. That's about it. That's how you do background breakdown. I hope it's going to be useful for you one day. And again, just, it's all paperwork. There's no reason to be afraid of that. So whenever someone asks you to do something, if you don't know, just ask for a few basic rules, look it up. Most likely someone has explained it like I just did here. All right, take care. Bye.